portions of this show are recorded. Strap in and be prepared.
You just heard Baby J about 3 minutes give his entire A to Z on what was going on. I didn't interrupt you.
I don't even got to everything, honestly.
No, you didn't get to everything.
Interesting guests.
Kelly Graves, Mike Parker, Josh Pate, Melissa Lombardi, Yogi Roth, who said that Justin and I are smart.
Sharp opinions.
I can see Dan Lanning sitting in his office, rubbing his hands together and saying, yeah, bring it on. You're just giving me juice.
I think you could be the type of team that has guys that excel in certain things. You don't need somebody that's great at everything. You need to be able to put guys in position where they're going to succeed.
And some smiles.
Is this thing on?
Is this thing working? No, that's why you got to do this. You got to go.
Hello?
Hello? Testing, testing,
it's like the little
testing.
girl in Nemo where she's tapping on the glass.
Fishy! Fishy, wake up, Fishy!
It's Danny Hamill.
We have to be more specific. We have a lot of pickle things going on, apparently.
Justin Grossweiner.
It's a Schwar bomb. That's a man right there hitting that ball.
Danny and Justin starts now on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport. Sitting in for Danny today, it's Goose, Steve Mims.
Welcome into the Danny and Justin Show. This is Steve Mims filling in for Danny on a jam-packed 1 hour. What is it Danny normally says? The fastest 1 hour in sports?
Fastest 60 minutes.
Fastest 60 minutes in sports. I don't know if when I'm hosting I always live up to that, but I think we will live up to it today. So I'll give a quick introduction, Justin, and say hello. Thanks for having me in, but I don't have time to any more back and forth complimentaries. We got too much to do.
Absolutely. No, great to have you back. It's always good to have you back. And let's do it.
All right, sounds good. Well, we got a lot going on today. For you Oregon State fans, I know it's been a rough year, but if you want to go watch your Beavers strive to potentially get their first win of the year over FCS Lafayette, in the second segment today, we are going to give away a family 4-pack of tickets to that game that includes parking.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Either way, family 4-pack of tickets to the Lafayette Oregon State game. So be listening if you want to take your family to that game tomorrow for the Beavers and Lafayette. We'll be giving away 4 tickets to that in the next segment. So be ready to call in for that one there. Also, next segment, my friend and yours, Ken Woody, is going to be coming in. Ken is a guy I make fun of a lot, but I will say there's nobody who's X's and O's is better at it, and I've already chatted with him this week a little bit about the Oregon-Indiana game, and I thought his stuff was really good, so I look forward to kind of bringing that up for everybody because I think it's easy for fans to sit and watch and say, oh, I didn't like that, oh, I think they should be doing this better. Ken watches the game with an eagle eye and also goes back and rewatches it, and so Ken Woody will be joining us in the second segment. And it's the beginning of a long day for you, Justin, as we have tonight, 7 to 10 is Friday Night Live with you and Brian Beban. And I think the featured game is a de facto Midwestern League title game between Thurston and Churchill and Churchill, right?
Yes, it is. And no, that's going to be a fun one. De facto title game, as you mentioned. We've had some fun games on Friday Night Live recently. We had Eddyville and Triangle Lake the last couple of weeks. That was super fun. So this is another fun one tonight, and I want everyone listening to go to Twitter right now. Go to the Fox Sports Eugene Twitter, and we have our semifinals for our best mascot in the state bracket. I think it's a good one this week. I mean, it's the semifinals, obviously. We have the Tillamook Cheesemakers, heavy favorite, I think, and the Central Lynn Cobras. So very different, kind of different vibes there, but I think some kind of a good battle, if it makes sense,
Yeah. I would go Cheesemakers just because that's very Tillamook and Oregon-centric. You could probably go to other states and find a Cobra.
Exactly.
I don't know if there are actually Cobras in the greater Brownsville Central Lynn area.
I would love to know.
But I know there is a cheese factory in Tillamook.
But it's also a very cool mascot.
It is a cool mascot.
It's the best mascot. It's not the most accurate to the place necessarily.
Yes. So Tillamook gets my vote. I'll go on and do that on the break.
Okay.
Also, a big day in my life and my family today. Today is the 18th birthday for my son, Caden.
Wow.
So, yes. We have,
That's a big one.
It is a big one. So I now have no minor children in my life. My 2 children are both adults. So happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday, Caden.
Hopefully he's not listening. He should be in school, although maybe he's walking home by now. We're going to go to Olive Garden for the never-ending pasta bowl tonight.
Very nice.
So that was his choice. So, so lots going on out here. Baseball as well. And I was making fun of you, Justin, because you were rooting for the big money Dodgers to beat the Brewers. I didn't understand. I have said I'm a Brewers fan because of Pat Murphy, who worked for the Emeralds. I know they're your rival of your Cubs, but I still would think any normal human being who doesn't love the big money Dodgers would root for them. But you are enjoying this series, and it's been a 3.
Wow.
They're sweeping them now, 3-0 on the doorsteps of potentially winning it tonight when Shohei Ohtani takes the mound against your favorite ex-Cub, Jose Quintana.
Yeah, absolutely my favorite. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm enjoying the series. I actually haven't really watched much of it at all because, again, it's 2 teams I'm not the biggest fan of. But, I mean, listen, objectively, you're right. The Milwaukee Brewers should be absolutely the team that I'm rooting for. They are, the small market team. They've got players that are fun. The problem is that they flew the L flag after they beat the Cubs. So that's kind of I don't know if I like that too much. So Pat Murphy can't stop talking about the Cubs. Even like last game, he was talking about how much of a home field advantage it was for the Cubs. And so I don't know. It just... There's something about the Milwaukee Brewers that rub me the wrong way, and I sent you that great meme of that girl that's like she's crying as she's like celebrating, and it's like that's at her 100% me rooting for the Dodgers. It's like not really what I want to do. I'm certainly going to be rooting for the American League, but for right now, I'm just going to hold my nose a little bit and root for the Dodgers, basically. So, I mean, it's not been much of a series anyways.
No, it's been a good series. I mean, it's been 2-1, 3-1, 5-1. The Dodgers starting pitching's been dominant, which, again, we've talked about can happen in a short series. There was just as equal a chance that Snell could have come out and given up 5, and then Yoba, which the next day does the same. But it's just turned out that their 3 guys have been on. The bullpen's been on. Brewers, we talked about, they didn't have the big bats. They just kind of relied on some situational hitting all year long, a deep lineup. And in a 3-game span, it can go dry like it has. And so, like I say, the Dodgers only scored 10 runs in the 3 games, but it's been 3 pretty comfortable wins. And they take the 3-0 lead tonight at L.A., Shohei versus Quintana, and that's at 5:38. Before that, we have the Mariners, who Mariner fans 2 days ago were jumping for joy. It was 2-0. They got 2 in Toronto. They were coming home, and it was like, man, you could drop 1 and still have a chance today to wrap up the pennant, celebrate at Safeco. And it just hasn't gone that way. Not only has it not been 2 wins, it's been 2 blowout losses. Toronto won 8-2 last night, 13-4 the night before. The Mariners come back home, give up 21 runs in 2 games. And again, I feel for their fans, including our friend Tyson Alger from the Lookouts, Eugene Springfield, who I know was up there. And you said he sent you a nice picture from there right before the game was about to start when he, like everybody, was ready to pop the champagne and celebrate. And instead, those fans have basically kind of sat and watched 2 games where their teams just looked terrible. And now I can see the panic going through Mariner fans that another year where you get kind of that's close and there's feels like they sucked you in and now they may blow them out.
Yeah, let me tell the fans out there, as an experienced pain endurer as a Cub fan, you just got to battle through. Yep. You just got to battle through. Let me tell you, there's going to be some ups and downs. Baseball is one of those sports. I think it's very different in the postseason than football, say, or basketball even, because I think it's nauseating. I think it's completely just, the best way I've ever heard a baseball game described, especially in the playoffs, is it's a heart attack divided over 9 innings. Yeah. And I think that's absolutely true. And so if you're a Mariners fan right now, you just have to kind of let it go a little bit. Yeah. Yes, it's been a tough last couple games, but there's still an opportunity ahead. There's 3 games left.
2-2.
It's 2-2. It's not, you haven't blown it yet. And it's even right now. It does feel like obviously the momentum's in the favor of the Toronto Blue Jays. I think even by runs scored, they're kind of leading the series now, but it's still 2-2. And obviously you have to start by just winning this last game at home. You're going to have the crowd giving them their all. It's the last game of the season for them potentially at Safeco. So I think that I don't even know if it'll decide the series, to be honest with you. I mean, statistically, obviously, this game will, but baseball just goes in so many crazy directions that I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle lost this game, but then came back, and momentum is only as good as your next starting pitcher. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they found a way to lose this game, but then win the next 2 over in Toronto. So I mean, it's been a great series. I do think Seattle's still the better team. I would expect them to win still, but certainly I can understand why fans are a little bit down in the dumps right now after a 2-0 lead, coming into 3 games at home, and now you're in a situation where it just doesn't look as good anymore. Yeah,
and context is important. You're right. If they had been swept at Toronto, come back and win 2 here, 2-2 feels totally different than the other way around. You mentioned the momentum's the next day's starting pitcher. They tonight have Bryce Miller. who was good in his first game of the series, was really good for them. Kevin Gausman going for Toronto. So I'm not sure if there's an edge either way, but two pretty good pitchers there. It's interesting. Dan Wilson has made some pretty major lineup shakeups for this game. He has moved Julio Rodriguez to the top spot in the order, so Julio will be leading off tonight. Naylor moves up to 4, and Arozarena moves down to 5. And I feel like most Mariner fans I've been talking to, their biggest complaint has been Arozarena at the top hasn't been getting on, hasn't been doing his part. You kind of hesitate a little bit when you see a manager make that big of a change, but at the same time, it's baseball. And if you got a hot hand, you can't sit around and wait over 162 for it to even out. For Arozarena's not coming through. So if you're watching the game tonight for the Mariners, their lineup is out. It's got Julio Rodriguez hitting first. And then second is Cal Raleigh. Third, Polanco's been moved up to third. Fourth is Naylor, and Arozarena's fifth. So it'll be a little different look for them as the Mariners look to get it. And again, if they win tonight, hey, like you say, the crowd will go crazy. You send them off to Toronto, and you hope to see them come back and win a World Series for you in there. Although I tell you what, the way the Dodgers are looking at maybe, and especially if the Dodgers get this thing done tonight, whoever wins that Toronto Mariners series will be at least 3 more days until we know they're going to have their pitching, will not be set for the World Series the way the Dodgers will, and the Dodgers will be able to rest guys like Snell and Ohtani who haven't been throwing full amount of innings type situation, and give their bullpen Sasaki some rest.
Right, and I think that's good, obviously. Yeah. Doesn't mean everything. I think you can see sometimes if a team has a sweep and then another series goes 6 or 7 games, that team that makes it through in the 6 or 7 game series, they just have that sort of adrenaline. They're still kind of on the, they have the edge still. And I'm not saying that this will happen to the Dodgers because I think that this series against Milwaukee is a great example of it's the most talented team versus the team that's been the best overall team over 162. Yep. And the talent for the Dodgers has just been so clear. And we've said this all I've been saying this all season long. Like, I don't care that Mookie Betts had a terrible regular season, because when you're sitting there in the postseason and you're looking at their lineup and he's, at the top of the batting order with Shohei Ohtani, and then behind him is going to be Freddie Freeman, what do you do? Yeah. You can't go around anybody. The whole lineup, Teoscar Hernandez is like their 4th best hitter, but he's like, smashing the ball right. I mean, they're just a great team. They're just a great team on paper. The bullpen issues have been kind of subsided with the Roki Sasaki to the closer situation. So, listen, I'd agree with you. I think that if you had like a gun to my head right now, I don't think you can take any other team than the Dodgers. I do feel like the Mariners have, and maybe it's not been the last couple games, that a little bit of magic to them. They win that 15-inning game, and they come back and they win the first 2 games in this series, and it feels like maybe the momentum is sort of just on their side. But it's baseball. It's a postseason. It's always going to be a battle. You're going to have that back and forth sort of nature of it. But I do think that this pitching staff for the Mariners can hold up with the Dodgers. Yeah. And that's the thing I think is the biggest.
I love playoff baseball. I love watching playoff baseball. I think the drama is as good as any because it kind of goes slowly. But it's not as good as other sports at crowning the correct champion. And what I mean by that is 1 through a 7-game series is so much different than the 162. I mean, you're taking a team like the Brewers. What they did in 162 is just totally different than what you're asking them to do in a best-of-7 against them. In the NFL, it's a 1 game that you've only played 16, so it's just kind of like another. I think that fits on what it was. Even in the NBA, a best-of-7 is taking teams after 82. It's just such a long. I mean, 162 is such a different deal than that allows for teams who are not the top seed to be able to do it. And winning on the road in baseball, probably not huge either. I mean, it's not like you got football where fans are screaming at you the whole game type thing. So it will be interesting to see. I'd like to see the Mariners. I'm still hoping for my Mariners-Brewers World Series, but if I were a gambler, I think there's probably pretty good odds on that. Pretty long odds at this point on that happening. So we will get with that. All right, we're going to head into our break. Also, I didn't even mention, we're so packed. In the last segment today, we have Big Bets.
Yes, we do.
Danny's not here, but we have the ghost of Danny has given us his picks. So me, you, and Danny will make our picks, and we will open the phones for folks out there if they want to call in as well. Speaking of call in, when we come back, don't start yet. When we come back, I will give you the number and whose call we're taking. We're going to give away a family 4-pack of tickets to the Oregon State Lafayette game. It's a 7 o'clock kick tomorrow night at Reser Stadium. So when we come back, we'll start off by giving that away. Ken Woody's going to come join us, and Ken will do a great job of breaking down the Oregon loss to Indiana, looking ahead to the rest of the season. All right, this is Steve Mims. You're listening to the Danny and Justin Show on KORE, Fox Sports Eugene, and KNCU, Fox Sports Newport. All right, welcome back into the Danny and Justin show. This is Steve Mims filling in for Danny. Beaver fans out there, your team is playing at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, and they are playing against Lafayette, and we are going to give away a family 4-pack of tickets to the phone number. We're going to give you the phone number to call in.
543. Let me grab it real quick. Now I'm under pressure now.
We're going to give away a family 4-pack of tickets to watch Oregon State versus Lafayette tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And we're going to give it away to the third caller who calls into the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline. And Justin is going to give us the phone number.
I'm going to give us the phone number.
Which is?
I'm looking for it, Steve.
Okay. Well, we're going to also bring in Ken Woody here. And Ken is going to join us to chat about the Oregon-Indiana game and looking ahead to Rutgers. Would you like to go to the Oregon State game tomorrow night, Ken?
I'll tell you what, if I had a choice between going to that one and watching Oregon-Indiana, I would take the Lafayette game.
Okay, well, so you're not eligible because you're technically a guest for the week, so that doesn't make you eligible for the tickets. So
all right,
let's get the number.
541-343-5673.
541-343-5673. We're taking the third caller. 541-343-5673. Third caller gets 4 tickets to the Oregon State Lafayette game tomorrow night at 7 and a parking pass with the caveat that you have to come down to the station by 5 o'clock to pick up the parking pass.
Correct.
And we're just in the Delta, what does Danny call it? High above the Delta
Triad in the Crystal Palace that is the
Crystal
Bigfoot
Palace
Beverages Studios.
Yeah. So, all right, so there is our ticket giveaway. Now we're bringing in Ken Woody. Ken, your Mariners, we were all celebrating a 2-0 start. Before I get you to football, are you still high on your Mariners' chances here, or are you defeated after a couple of blowout losses?
Well, I would issue a correction. I was never high on their chances. No, I was high on their success and hoping for more. But I've seen enough of the Blue Jays this year to know that they are a nasty competitor, and you're not, until the dagger is finally in there, you're not going to run them away.
That sounds like Indiana football to me as well.
Indeed.
Dan, I thought one thing I'll say about Dan Lanning is when they lose, he stands up and says, "Hey, we didn't do this right. We missed some calls, we missed some of that." What, just kind of from a big picture to start off, as you looked at, what are some things you thought where Oregon fell short when rewatching the film that Indiana was able to take advantage of?
I would say in very nearly every category. Defensively, and I think Oregon is, and this is why the game against Rutgers is crucial. Rutgers can throw the ball. They had a hard time with Indiana's passing attack, and that guy got 5 touchdowns against Illinois. So, but the secondary is in trouble because of inexperience. They got 4 freshman corners, and they didn't put them in a position where they could be successful covering critical pass plays when it had to happen. The front 7 looked tired and dispirited, and I'll tell you what, Indiana took it to them and bullied them and bruised them. And offensively, I'm sitting there going, where did Oregon go? The first play, I've been complaining about the Ducks not moving their quarterback around more in passing, just to give a different throwing point. Because when you just drop back straight all the time, you're making it easy for the defense to do stuff to you, blitz, stunts, that sort of thing. Well, in the first quarter, Dante Moore drops back, moves over 6 yards, and when he does that, the safety to the far side of the field moves over 2 steps, and then he drops back and throws it, and the receiver is now behind that safety, touchdown, 44 yards. That's Oregon, okay? So where did Oregon go from there? I don't know. I just get really weary of watching the Ducks do these time-consuming shifts and motion, and they don't do anything with it. Majority of my coaching career was spent in the press box and watching, when somebody went in motion, I would look to see what are their adjustments. Do they shift with them? Which gives you an idea that we've got 1-on-1 on the backside of that, and we can do some things.
Right.
Or this guy's weak, we can exploit him. I watch Oregon go through this stuff, and I was looking at the Indiana secondary, and they just sitting there, just they're in their lineup. And so what does Oregon make of that? Really nothing. It was a very uncreative, conservative game plan, and Oregon has these great receivers. They're fast. Did they ever use them? Did they ever go deep after the first touchdown? No. It was just sinister almost, the way it unfolded. And at the end, the best team won, and maybe they are better than Oregon. I don't know. I would think not, but they've got a lot of really good players, and they got a lot of tough guys, and they're like their coach. Their coach just got a extension on his contract. It's now 8 years, and he's making 11 years. He's making $11 million a year, which shows you what beating Oregon can do for you. Okay.
Right.
Or losing to Oregon. He's got 3 coaches fired and 1 coach paid. So if you play Oregon, you're either getting fired or you're getting paid.
Yeah. So
is that Dan calling you right now?
Oh, that's my. It's funny you bring this up. That's my psychiatrist who's calling to confirm an appointment I made. So I'll call him back.
I was questioning on. I thought coming out of Penn State, Lanning had kind of made it clear, hey, De'Ara Hill's kind of the guy going forward. We saw Hughes transfer out. I thought it's all on the line. This is where it kind of turns over to Hill in the bye week. They kind of reset the depth chart. He gets 3 carries. Kenyon Sadiq gets only 2 catches, who's been the most reliant. Was that stuff that Indiana was limiting, or do you think Oregon went away from those 2 more, maybe it's more than they should have?
Oregon went away, and, hey, you're the one who gets to line your guys up. So if you want to set up Sadiq, you can. It's just like what Penn State did last year with their tight end. They would find ways of putting him in a formation where he'd have a chance, some open field. There was none of that sort of search going on, apparently, down on the field for the Oregon offense. They were running the same old stuff, and it's coming out of a bye week.
Yeah.
In a bye week, you should come out with energy and because you've healed up and so on. And it looked like maybe the coaches had gone recruiting the week, and they didn't show anything at all for having been in a bye. They wasted that time, in my opinion, based on their performance. The one thing that critics like myself have got to remember, and it's something that Jerry Fry said, the head coach when I played here at Oregon, he reminded the staff, nobody fumbles on purpose, nobody messes up on purpose. And so that's where it comes down to the coaches. Hey, what have you done for this to be the end result of your work? Mm-hmm. So, and I think Lanning mentioned that too about his whole staff. He said, we all have to learn from this. And I'll tell you what, it's nothing against Lanning. This is football. This is competing. You're going to have times that the euphoria of beating Penn State was awesome. I mean, we all did real well and went through life with a click on our heel. But then you got to deal with and you got to prepare better to deal for the showdown. Mm-hmm. And they were shown down.
First of all, shout out to and congratulations to Daniel Lopez of Eugene. They're going to be going to a Beaver game tomorrow. That's at, what, you said 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Coach, for the Ducks, was this the kind of loss that you think that the coaching staff can learn from? Or were the problems that you saw things that, like, Oregon was just exposed and there's not much they can do?
No, there's a lot they can do, and particularly offensive line. They had guys wandering around, and you're going, this is not who these guys are. We've seen them. It's not, but for some reason it wasn't put together, and it didn't happen. So it's not but it is a reckoning. And if you expect somebody to go through a whole season without these sort of challenges, that's not the way it is. And especially we look around and what NIL and the transfer portal has done. There are a lot more teams that are competitive now like that. Boom. Texas Tech is an example. Texas has found out they can be an average group of guys all of a sudden because everyone else is paying their players. And so, Oregon is an elite team, but they're not better than everybody. And everybody is not better than them either. So you got to prove it on the field. And, this is what pro teams, you look at their long seasons and so on, the best teams prevail because they're able to kind of get through it all. And they have their downs and their ups. And so this was a big downer, though. Big downer. I'm concerned about Rutgers because they are a dangerous offensive team, and I think Oregon's defense right now is kind of caught in between depending on inexperienced guys, corners. But you know what? Get them experience.
Yeah, is this how you get them experience? Obviously, just by playing the games. Like, can you evolve enough during a season where you think that can make a difference, or do you think that it's just they're freshmen, they're going to go through those ups and downs, it's going to happen all season long?
No, just because you're a freshman doesn't mean it takes you X amount of stuff to get your stuff down. But my challenge to a coach, if I were the head coach, I'd say, look, our guy who has just been picked All-American freshman corner who plays here at Oregon, he's inexperienced. Get him experienced now. So line him up face to face with these guys, have them bump them, scrap with them, and get that experience they need. Lining them up 10 yards off a receiver on 3rd and 8 is not the way to do that. And then the guy turns and goes, he doesn't know where the ball is. He's turned away from the receiver, and it looked like high school football out there. So they're going to have to accelerate what they expect out of their inexperienced players. And the same thing with the receivers. Hey, they got all this speed. Where were they?
Mm-hmm.
Let them
use it.
Let her rip. That was Lanning's mantra a couple games ago. Hey, we're going to let her rip. And that's what I was waiting for in that game. Hey, let it rip.
We are joined by Ken Woody. He is the king of all media in Eugene. You can read upon further review every week on foxsportseugene.com. You can see his handsome face along with friend of the program Tyson Alger every week at Lookout for Eugene. And you can hear him in person every Wednesday night at 6th Street Bar and Grill breaking down the games. So if you want Ken Woody, as Dan Lanning likes to say, or as Deion Sanders likes to say, I ain't hard to find, Ken Woody ain't hard to find. So I want to forward to Rutgers because I listened to John Canzano, who I like a lot, had John Wilner on yesterday. And Wilner was like, man, I look at that Rutgers, Oregon, it's a pick your score. Rutgers defense so bad, Oregon's going to score as much as they want. And Canzano said, yeah, I think this is a blowout win for Oregon. I think they win big. I felt differently. I thought the 17.5 line was really high. I look at, and I hate using travel as an excuse, but if there's going to be one, they're leaving today. They don't play till 6:30 tomorrow. We've seen at least big teams get off to sluggish starts after that. If, like you say, with Rutgers' big play offense, if it's 14-0 after the first quarter, they could spend some time digging out of a hole. I don't think it's a guarantee that they're going to go up there and pick their score against Rutgers.
Well, I would just say if you've looked at the Washington-Rutgers game last week, which is what I looked at, and I go, oh, holy smoke, this could be a tough one, especially if you were not ready emotionally. And I mean, you're not going to have a quarter to get into it. They better be into it from the opening kickoff. I think, as I said, the Ducks right now, I think, are potentially in some tougher sledding against a team that can throw the ball. And they have not seen that yet. They're going to see it against Rutgers. Rutgers last year had 3 games that they lost where they scored over 30 points. Yeah. So the question is, the Ducks have a hard time stopping them, but then do the Ducks get their offense going? And I feel really badly for Moore, the quarterback, that he got pummeled. And there were a couple instances, and you go, what happens when a quarterback who is usually protected well is suddenly sacked 6 times, and he ran the ball a couple times and just got the dog knocked out of him, and in the second half, there were times there was some pressure, and he stepped instead of stepping up into the pocket and had him go by. And here's a guy over the middle, and he's open. He's taken off to the side, and he's trying to escape and for his life. So his mechanics deteriorated, and you could see that he was no longer the cool customer that we were used to seeing. And hey, you got to make sure you have a cool customer back there.
And it's going to be a sellout crowd for Rutgers. Actually, from what I understand, they actually might break their record for attendance in that game. So they're going to be ready for it up there. For those sacks, obviously they're going to have to deal with different environment tactics, silent count, communication. But when you mentioned that he was sometimes not stepping up, he was trying to roll out, maybe not going to the right area, didn't have the comfortability in the pocket. You also mentioned the receivers too, not necessarily like going downfield. How much of those sacks was because of the offensive line, and how much of it was because of the other factors?
Well, I would say that all 6 of them were on the offensive line and backs. You recall against Oklahoma State, Whittington stepped up on a blitz and took him full on, and the guy ended up kind of rolling over him, but he was blocked. And it was courageous, and it was a great play, and it was a touchdown. The same thing happened against Indiana, and Whittington got blown up, and the guy ended up sacking the quarterback. So there were times, I mean, it's not all in your offensive line. The backs have to do theirs too. But there were times that the offensive line got caught kind of flat-footed, and I saw at one point a Indiana defensive tackle, as the ball was snapped, he went on a kind of a diagonal and ran right into the center, Pancho, as if he was blocking him. He wasn't trying to avoid him or anything. He was blocking him, and he knocked him back into the guard. And meanwhile, they got a guy coming around the bend scot-free. And it was just a case of the Oregon offensive lineman being kind of passive, waiting to see what happened, and the line was not waiting. And it wasn't a blitz. It was just a 4-man rush. But, I mean, all hell was breaking loose. So they did not adjust to that, and they physically, it got to be physical. That's Indiana has no bones about it. They say their coach, he goes, hey, we're going to be physical. And Lanning has said the same thing. We need to be physical. But Ducks got 1 yard total rushing in the second half. Yeah. And after the game, I wrote my story, and a little bit later I looked at the statistics, fourth quarter, and I missed the whole story. And here is the whole story. The Ducks had the ball the last 30 seconds of the game, kind of trying to throw the ball, and they got 27 yards in 8 plays. So knock that 30 seconds off the fourth quarter. That leaves 14 minutes and 30 seconds. The Ducks had the ball for 1 minute and 8 seconds.
Wow.
1 minute, 8 seconds, 4 plays, 2 sacks, each -4, 2 interceptions, set up the winning touchdown, and then the field goal, the clinching field goals. That's how they were in the fourth quarter. I've never paid a lot of attention to red zone stuff. I go kind of at the total amount of points. But Indiana was 5 for 5 in the red zone, 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals. The Ducks were 1 for 3 field goal. And they're having a problem in the red zone. And they had a problem in the red zone against Penn State, too. And it's been there in their other games. So that's something I think I would have people, look for. How are they going to be in the red zone? And then how are you going to let them be in the red zone? You going to stop them? At least get them to field goals. That's what you want. You're there 5 times. You have to go for 5 field goals. You're probably going to win that game.
Ken Woody joins us. Before I let you go, I know it's happy hour and there's probably a glass of wine waiting for you somewhere in this world, but you are many things to many people, but one thing you are is a kicking guru. Atticus Sappington, and I said early in the year when they put out that preseason video and he made a 60-yarder, I said, well, you just gave Duck fans thinking they have the best kicker in the country. I wouldn't probably show a preseason 60-yard kick to put that kind of expectations on him. I was looking today, from 30 yards and beyond, he is 4 for 7 on the season. You talk about the red zone right now. Are you concerned at all with him and maybe his confidence right now, even if they get in the red zone? Is it a guarantee from Atticus right now?
Well, this is typical of you, Steve, to be, more worried about something than you should. So
okay, good.
Let me calm you down a little bit.
Thank you.
To this point, when he misses, that's too bad. But I haven't seen a look that like he's choking or anything like that. But yeah, he's on the edge of concern too. Just like there's validity for a change of what you say. But this thing about field goal kickers, they're really good these days.
Yeah.
And like there were people that when I kicked, they'd say that they ought to give him 4 points when he makes one, just because. It's a better deal.
Because it was so unlikely you were going to make it.
That's right. Against all odds.
Ken Woody, thanks for coming in, my friend. We appreciate you coming in person. Great stuff. Again, upon further review, foxsportseugene.com. Look out for Eugene with Tyson Alger and 6th Street Bar and Grill Wednesday nights, where you are breaking down as well as anybody around here can do. And that's the last compliment I'm going to give you today. So
it's the only one, really.
Ken Woody, thanks for joining us. All right, folks, we will be back. It's time for Big Bets. When we come back, you're listening to the Danny and Justin Show on KORE, Fox Sports Eugene, and KNCU, Fox Sports Newport. Welcome back into the Danny and Justin Show. Always good to have Ken Woody in here. Like I say, he is sort of the preeminent X's and O's guy. I believe when I was at the Register Guard covering the Ducks, I got to sit next to him, and it was sort of like a master class listening to Ken Woody break down football. So always good to have him in.
Yeah, especially after a loss, too,
yeah.
I think.
And he can break that down. Like I say, he goes back and watches film, so he's very good. I thought that was real kind of honest stuff there. All right, Justin, it's time for Big Bets.
These guys think they know football. The winners,
I'm the winner!
the losers.
You're not that good.
Where to buy the best tailgate food. Let's put their knowledge to the test. It's time for Big Bets.
All right, Justin. Good news, you and I tied for first place last week.
Yeah.
Bad news, we still had losing records. You and I were 2-3 last week. We both hit Alabama over Missouri. I hit Colorado over Iowa State, and you hit USC over Michigan. Danny was the one of us who picked Iowa over Wisconsin. That was like 37-0. That was a bad,
not a
miss
good decision
on my part. But Danny missed the rest of them, so Danny went 1-4. So overall, right now, in a commanding 15-15 first place record, it's me. In second place now, breaking the tie for second, is now you alone in second place at 13-17. And Danny is 12-18, which is pretty simple math. I believe that means he has a 40% winning percentage. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
40% winning percentage. All right, I'm 50%. He's 40%. You're probably like 41.8 or something. But so those are the standings coming into it. All right, we're going to go through our picks. Danny's not here, but we've got him recorded. We're going to go through our picks for the games this week, and then we will take your guys' calls and have everybody hopefully call in. And if you want to call in and get on hold now, the 541-343-5673 is the number to call in. All right, first game, Justin. I'll start. We'll go to you next, and then Danny, and then we'll just kind of go in that order. Starting off is Penn State at Iowa. Boy, this game looks a little different than it did a couple weeks ago.
Sure does.
This is Penn State with a coach. I don't even know the coach. It's like Tracy Miller or something like that. Tracy Harris. Going up against the longest tenured coach in college football right now is Kirk Ferentz. The shortest tenured coach in college football right now is Penn State's guy. So that's a little tie into there. I was tempted to think, boy, maybe Penn State. We see him with UCLA. Sometimes the interim coach can kind of get some things going. I don't see that. I think with Drew Aller out, I think Penn State kind of cashes it in. Iowa's coming off a big win over Wisconsin. They got some big games coming up. I think Iowa pretty handily over Penn State.
Yeah, I think so too, especially because it's at Iowa. I think the biggest thing is the Drew Aller thing. If you would have had the same general team, but then they have a new head coach, maybe they get a little bit of energy from that, then I would kind of be along with you. Then I'd maybe pick Penn State, but I definitely going to take Iowa in this one.
All right, so I take Iowa and you take Iowa.
Ready to hear from Danny?
How about Danny?
All right, boys. Well, I'm playing from behind here, and you can't change my picks because you got to have my voice on it. So unless you're going to do an AI thing, here we go. Penn State, Iowa. I think the slide continues for Penn State, although this is a little tricky for me because sometimes, and I'll just go to Tim Skipper at UCLA, an interim head coach comes in and all of a sudden players start playing inspired, but no Drew Aller. You still got that big running game. I just don't know if they're going to have enough offense. And Iowa's going to keep this a slugfest anyway. So I'm going to stay with the Hawkeyes because they were my only win last week.
Well, it seems like we had pretty much the same analysis as Danny did.
I would say Iowa. So if you're a gambler, head out and bet Penn State because the way we're going, pretty good chance. All right, game 2. You're going to start this one, Justin. It is your favorite college team, LSU, traveling to Vanderbilt.
Yeah. I think you know who I'm going to take here. Vanderbilt. I think this one, they're coming off of a bye
They're favorite.
as well.
I think they're like a 2-point favorite.
Yes, they are. They're in a 2.5-point favorite. So I'm going to take the favorite, as they should be, Vanderbilt.
All right.
Go Commodores.
Say Danny.
All right, let's hear Danny.
Listen, this LSU Vandy. Now, I know how Baby Jay's going to pick, and I'm chasing him. So do I play a little gamesmanship here? I think I'm gonna. Give me the Tigers. And I might be on LSU Island here, but I do not care. Give me LSU.
Danny, pull out the picnic basket. I'm joining you out there on the island. We're going to be together. I just, there's not a war. I guess I know Vanderbilt's better. I know LSU's struggling. My head cannot wrap around a world where Vanderbilt is favored ahead of LSU.
They probably shouldn't be.
I'm taking LSU.
All right, I'm ready for that.
All right, so we're going to let Danny kick off the third game, which is Georgia Tech Duke.
Listen, this game, Georgia Tech Duke is like, to me, I'm in a conundrum. I picked Duke before and they blew it for me. Then I picked against Duke in Cal and they blasted me again. But I've ridden Georgia Tech for a couple of games with some wins. So I say let's go Ramble and Wreck Georgia Tech over Duke.
All right, Georgia Tech for Danny. Boy, I hate to be 3 for 3 with Danny, but I am all in on Georgia Tech. I don't think they're that great, but this schedule sets up well for them. I think they're going to be 12-0 and face Miami in the ACC title game without having a really good win on their schedule, but I don't think that Duke is the team that slows them. Give me the Ramblin' Wreck.
All right, I'll plant my flag really on the LSU and Vandy one, so I will also take Georgia Tech. I just think they're going to win, too. But I have been seeing people take Duke in this game. I'm not afraid. I'll take Georgia Tech as well.
Okay, so you got Georgia Tech. All right, we are going to the fourth game. We'll do our points for this one here. Utah at BYU. That's a good one. The Holy War, they call it. Utah at BYU. I'm telling you, I think this BYU team's good. I like Kalani Sitake. I like it being there. This is a pretty bitter rivalry. I think home helps there because these crowds are pretty fired up. Give me BYU and give me total points, let's say 48.
Okay. I will go with the Utes, and maybe I am just skewed because I just believe in Kyle Whittingham. I've actually talked to him before, so that's another little feather in my cap there, I guess. But I will take the Utes in this one, even though they're on the road. Let's hear Danny.
What's your total?
Oh, my point total? I'll go with lower than you. I'm going to go with 43.
All right. Let's say Danny.
All right.
All right, here's the Holy War, BYU and Utah. And, again, I picked Utah earlier in the year. They disappointed me. I think BYU's got enough here to outlast Kyle Whittingham's team. And so I say that, and all they're going to do is get inspired, and Utah's going to rise up. But I'm going to stay with the Cougars. Give me BYU.
And I just got a point total from Danny.
Yeah, but he took mine, so he doesn't get to do that.
He doesn't get to do your point total?
Can he have the same? I took 48.
Oh, well, then he's going to have to do a new one.
So
yes.
I'm going to give him 47.
I guess so. Yeah, executive decision.
He's got to go below. We're gonna. If you're not here in person, I'm giving him 47.
There you go.
So Danny takes BYU. So that's me and Danny. Boy, me and Danny are
locked in
lockstep. This is scary. Very scary. All right, last game, and this one starts with you, Justin. It is Oklahoma coming off a loss to Texas at South Carolina. What do you got?
I'm going to go with South Carolina. Or, sorry, I'm going to go with Oklahoma, I mean. John Mateer, I think he's going to be healthy for this game. I think Oklahoma's a pretty good team. I think South Carolina is just, I don't know. I'm not overwhelmed by them, so I will take Oklahoma to make it clear.
Okay. What's Danny? Did he make it clear?
He did.
Oklahoma's smarting, and they take on South Carolina. Here's the whole thing. Is John Mateer going to play? Is he not going to play? Is he going to play? He's not going to play. I think that is the big unknown here. If John Mateer plays, can I say this? Because I won't know till I'm not going to have this. I'm put it on tape. Here's the way I'm going to say it. If John Mateer plays, if he's going to start, then I'm taking Oklahoma. If John Mateer's not playing, I want South Carolina. Isn't that fair? Isn't that fair?
I don't know.
Fair at all.
I don't think it's fair.
No.
He didn't let you do this last week.
We make our picks on Friday, and we make our picks at that point. Ifs and buts, candy and nuts. You've heard all that thing before. I'm not sitting here waiting until the kickoff to see who's playing, who's not. Danny gets Oklahoma. And I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I hate to do it, and I hate to be in lockstep on all of them with Danny, but
wow.
I do think Oklahoma's really good. I think South Carolina's a bit of a fraud. The North Sellers hasn't been great this year and has been hurt. I think Oklahoma goes on the road. I think they can still get to the playoff. Obviously need to win this one to do it, so I'm going to have Oklahoma in there. All right, we are going to go to the phone lines to get our first call to join us. Let's go out to the phone line. Who do we got?
You got Brad.
All right, Brad, let's run through. I'm going to start you off with Iowa, Penn State.
Iowa.
How about LSU at Vandy?
Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
There we go. Georgia Tech at Duke.
Ramblin' Wreck all day.
All right, clean sweep so far for Tech. Utah at BYU, Holy War.
That's going to be close, but give me the Utes.
The Utes. And what's your total points for that one?
50.
50. And Oklahoma, South Carolina.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, a clean sweep there as well. Awesome, man. I appreciate it, Brad. Thanks for calling in, and enjoy the games this weekend.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, that opens up a phone line. We got a couple minutes left. If you want to call in, 541-343-5673 is the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline to call in and make your picks. So the way we got it here, Justin, Iowa, all three of us have Iowa. All three of us have Georgia Tech. All three of us have Oklahoma. You were the only one to take Utah, and you were the only, actually.
Brad took Utah.
And Brad took Vanderbilt.
Yes.
So Brad and you are in locks. No, he took Utah, you took BYU. No, you took Utah.
I took Utah.
Yep, you're right. You and Brad are one and the same. Me and Danny are one and the same.
Let's go. Let's go.
I don't tell Danny I said this, but I'd much rather have Brad on my side than Danny on my side. I got to tell you. But anyway,
I'm with you.
We're gonna edit that one out for the podcast when he listens that I said that. But so those are the only differences again is LSU, Vanderbilt, and Utah, BYU, which both should be some good games. So if anybody wants to call in, we got time for probably one more. 541-343-5673. We'll get your numbers on here. Justin, you are Friday Night Live tonight, 7 to 10 o'clock. Get people to the Twitter and vote on the Cheesemakers versus the Cobras.
Yep.
Tomorrow, you and Brian Beban are back in here. Jerry's Home Improvement Game Day Show. And that's at 1:30 leading into the Oregon-Rutgers game, which is at 3:30.
Yeah, that's correct. And, you guys have been talking me into this game being a bit more of a challenge than I would have initially thought. I mean, you look at Rutgers and what they've done. They started off 3-0.
Yeah.
They go 0-3. They were up 10-0 in the first quarter on Washington before a missed kick.
Yep.
And then the momentum swings the other way. Of course, it's at Washington. But Kaliakmanis, I mean, he's had some good. His stats are all right. Like, if you look at his numbers, it hasn't been too bad. He's been really inconsistent outside of the first quarter, though. So I'm still going to take the Ducks in my prediction for the game, but certainly a challenge going out to Piscataway and, a game the Ducks are going to have to take seriously.
Yeah, and a game in addition to being on the road, they also have one less day to prepare because that Rutgers-Washington game was a Friday game. Now, again, Rutgers had to fly back. And I'm not real into – I don't know how much the travel – again, I'm not on the road with these folks, so I don't know how much the travel breaks into these things. But for folks who want to say it. All right, we got time for one more. We're going to have to go quick. Who we got?
We got Blaze.
Hey, Blaze, thanks for calling in. I'm going to give you some games. You give us your score prediction. Iowa, Penn State.
I got Penn State with the bounce back.
Penn State, nice. All right, Vandy, LSU.
Vandy, for sure.
Vandy. And then Georgia Tech against Duke.
I got Duke.
Duke. How about Utah, BYU?
Utah. I think they're going to get it done.
And how's the total points for that one?
I'm thinking, let's say 49.
Okay, we got 47, 48, 49, 50. Last one, Oklahoma and South Carolina.
I think South Carolina's going to pull it off at home.
Awesome, man. Hey, Blaze, thanks for calling in. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
That is Blaze, and that is going to run us out of time for this one. Again, tune in tonight to hear all your high school football with Brian and Justin, Friday Night Live, and tomorrow for the Jerry's Home for Game Day Show. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Thanks to Ken Woody for coming in. Big bets. See if me and Danny can go 5-0 this week. This is Steve Mims filling in for Danny. Listen to the Danny and Justin Show on KORE Fox Sports Eugene.